Lights, camera,
Rolling.
action.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand. Wax on, wax off.
He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses.
Hi, I'm Joe, and this is the Filmjoe podcast, where film talk happens. Hi, I'm Joe.
I'm Daisy.
And I'm Liss.
And welcome to the podcast where we talk about films, filmmakers, trends, the good, the bad, and the not so bad, all in the spirit and for the love of film. So on this episode, we're going to get weird, more than usual, and we're going to cover a couple of films that deal with some weird stuff. But before we continue, please beware, there will be spoilers. So you have not seen any of these films, you maybe want to pause this, watch the movies, return, or just enter at your own risk. Alrighty, guys?
All right. I don't know if you were talking to me, but okay.
Yeah, well, you can answer. I was talking to the audience, but if you want
to... okay. My bad.
Now, check this out. There's a few things I want to bring up that I've been listening to or been reading of. There is talk, Robert Eggers, the director of the new film Nosferatu.
Yep.
And he's pretty much the toast of the town right now. There's a lot of incredible buzz, revolving around this Nosferatu film. Someone calling it a masterpiece. It's an amazing piece of work. I mean, the guy, he's an amazing director. He did a movie called The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman. Just an amazing director. And for those of you who are not familiar with Nosferatu, it's a remake of a 1922 silent film by F.W. Murnau, and it was remade in 1979 called Nosferatu the Vampire, directed by Werner Herzog. And this is his version now, Robert Eggers. Well, there's rumors going around that he is going to do a remake of a little film called Labyrinth.
I don't like this.
You know what?
No.
Let's
help me out here. No.
I know this isn't video, but I'm frowning.
I think it would be awesome. Look, okay, let me approach Labyrinth in a more fair way, okay? It has a lot of great elements in it. The special effects, some of the cinematography, but the film is problematic on so many levels. It is.
No.
I feel the hate
I
coming
don't think you
here.
have the right audience that you're making this case to, Joe.
You know what? I think it'll work. I mean, a little bit more darker.
No.
Edgy.
No, you know what? Have some fucking respect for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You
Preach,
cannot.
Daisy.
I mean, how? Okay, first off, how are you even going to try to replace characters like fucking David Bowie? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Very, very easily.
No, you can't.
His junk?
I wasn't going to go there, but yeah, you know what? How can you recreate, that scene,
No. I think, you know what? I mean, you can get, anybody can do that role. I mean,
no.
David Bowie brought nothing special to that role.
Oh, God. Here comes the hate mail.
You know what? I'm going to get a lot of support mail. People are going to say,
bullshit.
You know what, Joe? They're going to say, Joe, you're absolutely right.
They're going to
Liss
say,
and Daisy,
why don't you change this to the Daisy podcast? The Film Daisy podcast.
I don't know, but you know what? Don't knock it, TJ. It might end up being a pretty good remake. But aside from that, I just saw I saw a few films this past week. I had some time off from work, so I was just kind of being a couch potato and catching whatever I can see. There's a film on Netflix, which I'm not going to say don't watch it. Remember, I didn't like it. I thought it was dog shit. It's a Netflix film, which 8 out of 10 times it's going to be dog shit. It's a movie called The 688th, and it's a true story, based on a true story about about African American women in the army, the AWACS, who were tasked with making sure that the men on the battlefield would get their mail. Great concept. I love military history, and I thought it was great. And, it's a history of the African Americans' involvement in the heroism that they contributed to the war. God Almighty, it was a horrible fucking movie.
That bad.
Yeah, it was bad. You familiar with Tyler Perry? He does the Medea movies. I mean,
Medea. It's Medea.
Medea, dog shit overall. I can't stand those films. I think Tyler Perry is an overrated director. Yeah, he is. I hate to say it. I do give him credit in that he was able to independently create an entire franchise of these films and be very, make popularity and make money off of this and so forth. I respect that, but he's a horrible director. And this movie is just dog shit. Military protocol, some of the technical elements of military were just like, oh, you got to be kidding. But yeah, it was really, really bad. I don't recommend it. If you're curious, watch it. Let us know what you thought. But I did get to see a really cool one. Have you guys seen A Quiet Place?
A Quiet Place. It sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I have not.
Oh, it's great. Basically, what it is, it's we get attacked by these aliens that are attracted to sound. They're like giant bugs.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know what? Now I know what you're talking. I've been wanting to see that.
Yeah, Emily Hunt and John Krasinski. So it's two films. The first, it was directed by John Krasinski, and again, it's a really great creature feature suspense thriller. And the whole gist is that these things they're very sensitive to sound, so you have to stay quiet. You can walk around them very quietly, and they won't catch you.
Oh,
But there is a second one. And it continues pretty much right after the first film. And so they just released, it came out in 2024, Quiet Place Day One with Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn. And it's how it all started from day one. And guys, if you haven't seen any of these, start with this one. I think it was the best one of the series.
Really?
Yeah, it's really, really good. So definitely recommend it. Really, it was better than I thought it would be. I didn't go see it in the theater because I hate people.
You know what? I don't know if it's my age or something, but yeah, I get really annoyed when I go to the theaters nowadays. It's like somebody always has to fuck it up, and it always has to be some dumbass teenager.
Yeah.
The trick is you have to find a movie theater that nobody goes to.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I would always go to the one in the mall, so I was asking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I change spots to get a quiet one when I go.
Yeah.
That or you get the earliest showing possible on a Sunday morning because kids are going to be asleep till like 2 p.m.
Yeah, true.
So am I on Sunday.
Nice, my kind of people.
Or either that or you go see a movie that's like a drama or something like that, historical drama. Kids don't give a shit about this stuff.
Dude, I went to go see fucking the last Batman movie, and I was sitting next to 4 fucking teenagers, and I threatened all of them.
Damn.
I told them, I go, if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna shove my foot up your ass.
Oh,
The kid next to me turned white as a ghost, and they kept on fucking talking. So I left, and I had them all thrown out.
Good. There you go. Yeah. Well, I think it's sad because, I understand you're young, you go, I was a goofy, retard kid myself, and I do stupid shit in the theater. But when the movie was on, it was on. And we stayed quiet when we watched the movie because, I don't know, as a cinephile or just a movie fan, you have respect not only for others, but for the film itself. And you're there to enjoy something. And, And so, but yeah, I think there's very little respect nowadays for theater going. It's
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I always, I teach my kids. I'm like, you go to the fucking movies, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
No, I've never told them that, but
right.
They better be quiet so you can hear it. No, go ahead, Daisy.
Yeah, our listeners are going, oh wow, that's Mother of the Year right there, huh? Wow.
no,
No,
but
but
seriously.
you raise your kids to respect, and to
Yeah.
be considerate for others, and I agree with that. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I've been watching. I saw a movie, Wolves, with Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
Okay.
Yeah, that was streaming on Apple TV, and not too bad. Great chemistry between the two.
Okay.
that you'd expect. I mean, if you've seen Ocean's 11 and stuff like that, you see they had this great screen relationship. They're really good on together. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I did on my time off. That and took care of a lot of writing and prep work for the podcast. That's about it.
Okay, nice.
So what do you guys say we get started with this weird stuff?
Okay, all right, let's do this.
All right, so it is time to get weird. So for this first film, the time has come to tell the tale.
Yes. Now, something's happening. Something terrible. I fear that more of us are going to die.
No, we must talk about it.
She is not the person you think she is.
Who are you?
Oh, no, please, let's not stop.
She's worried you have the wrong idea about her.
Everything about her is wrong.
No, please let me talk about it.
Get away from her, Dave.
What are you?
She's dangerous.
Listen to me, please.
Soon they will learn that they have never been forgiven. Ghost Story. The time has come to tell the tale.
2 generations of men find themselves haunted by the presence of a spectral woman. When the son of one of the elderly men returns to his hometown after his brother's mysterious death, they attempt to unravel her story. The film we're talking about is Ghost Story from 1981, and it is directed by John Irvin. It stars Fred Astaire, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., and John Houseman. So before we get into the production backstory, we're going to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10 glasses of brandy.
Okay, all right. That's the only thing that stood out to me.
I thought it was good. Anyway, we'll get into it. So a little production backstory. Universal Pictures, they had purchased the rights to Peter Straub's novel. Now, Peter Straub is a horror novelist. He's done a few collaborations with Stephen King. And so he wrote this in the late 70s called Ghost Story, of course, same title. And Universal, they bought it for about $225,000 for the rights, which is about a little bit over $1 million today. So it was a big deal. Once they acquired the rights, English director John Irvin was asked to direct the film by producer Bert Wiesbard on the basis that they had seen his work before on a British television film called The Haunted Ferryman. So they wanted that same kind of vibe. So upon reading Straub's novel and the screenplay by Lawrence D. Cohen, Irwin envisioned the narrative as being about hypocrisy, principally in men's fear of women and at some point hatred. Irvin, who was a newcomer to Hollywood, he hired several British filmmakers as part of the team so that he can give it that European look. Principal photography took place in Saratoga Springs, New York, and Woodstock, Vermont. Interiors were filmed in Albany, New York, Florida. Some scenes were filmed out there. Additional photography took place over here in LA at Universal Studios. And according to Irvin, the filming process was emotionally turbulent for the star Fred Astaire, who confided in Irvin that he felt that he was going to die or be murdered while shooting the film.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't think he liked LA
Wow.
too much. Yeah. Yeah. So at one point he considered dropping out of the production because of this. Now keep in mind this would be the 80s. So yeah, the 80s LA, Hollywood it wasn't much of a nice place. The film's special effects makeup designed by makeup artist Dick Smith, who gave us films like The Exorcist and Altered States. He had a team of artists. And they created a multiple life-size puppet of Eva/Alma in different stages of decay. He also created a faceless dummy with a gaping mouth and no eyes to be used as the apparition. But ultimately, they decided not to include it in the film. And that design, the eyeless apparition, was actually used in a later film, House on Haunted Hill. So finally, the film was released on December 18th, 1981. All right, Daisy. So let's get your takes on this. So what did you think? This is your first viewing of this, right?
Yes.
Oh, man, that doesn't sound good.
Oh, God. Okay, so I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I thought It was so fucking confusing in the beginning.
Okay.
They show this guy rubbing this naked chick's back. His fucking bathtub is flooding. Don't know why. And she turns around and she's like, "Ooga booga!" And he falls out the fucking. He falls-
Ooga booga. I think I might have fallen asleep or something or walked out for a snack. I didn't remember that.
She scares the shit out of him and he falls out the window with his penis flying all over the place.
I was hoping you were going to mention that thing was just flipping in the wind. I was just cracking up. I almost peed my pants up. But...
I'm like, his weenie was going crazy. That was, you know what? I'm sorry, but that was like the only amusing part of the movie.
Okay.
It was so scattered. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? You know, it was just really weird. It was, yeah, it was corny too. It was hella corny.
Okay, I do have an explanation for the bathtub.
Oh, well, I get it. She drowned.
No. There's another explanation for the bathtub.
She was dirty.
Yeah, she needed a bath. Okay, so you didn't care much for. Okay, all right, fair enough.
No.
Okay, Liss.
Oh, you're leaving us hanging on the bathtub. Okay.
What was your take overall? I'll get back to the bathtub.
I actually really liked it. I didn't think I'd like it because looking at the front of, I don't look into the movies at all that you send me. I just watch them blindly. But the cover that popped up, it looked like an old movie, and I was like, I'm not going to like it. But I really, really liked it. It felt like an old-timey, like Christmas carol-y type thing. And them, I want to be old and have like a group of friends to sit around and tell ghost stories with. That's awesome. No, and I loved how he did the thing, like, you know, from the end to the beginning, and how the beginning of the movie, you know what I mean, connected right with the end of it, like as the end of the movie started the beginning. Okay. I thought it was really cool. I feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It definitely has, it has a very strange and very vague opening. It's very mysterious. You're kind of, because it's a mystery ghost story is what it is. So we're not supposed to be spoon fed the answers right off the bat. This is unfolding before our eyes. And although I was confused because the guy who with the flipping wee out the window, I see him. He
Is that what you're going to name the episode?
Yeah,
that's flipping, sorry. We should rate it. We should rate it on flipping wee-wees.
Oh my God. But I was confused because he dies, and then later on you see him again. I'm like, what the fuck? Didn't he just die? And of course, it's his twin brother. Okay, fine. I let that slide. That was okay. But by the way, the thing with the flowing water is always associated with spiritual energies. A spirit, an apparition can draw its energy from flowing water. So that's my theory as to why the overflowing tub. But I do like the way that does it. Little by little by little, we're brought closer and closer to the truth. And it does have an eerie pace. And you're right, Liz, it does have a feeling like those old 50s, horror films like House on Haunted Hill and things like that. It's telling you a story. It's taking you by the hand. This film itself, aside from, because there's a lot of gratuitous nudity in this, but aside from that, this film could have been done frame by frame with that exact same script back in the 50s, in that same pacing and tone.
Okay, but, what was up with the thug and the kid? Tell me that shit wasn't random.
It was, but it wasn't.
I felt like that was her, like, how do I describe it? Like people that she kind of pulled over to her and was like, do this for me and I'll give you eternal life, because that's what he was talking about.
Exactly.
I guess so, but it just felt like, okay, she literally pulled these two dudes out of her ass and said, okay, here, you're in my movie.
Well, yeah, and in a way it was kind of random, but you can see they're like her servants.
I get it.
Like her familiars, like, if you're using vampire terminology.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like that. You have a really great cast. Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Melvin Douglas, John Houseman. The problem with that is that Craig Wasson, who plays Don, the son, and he's not a bad actor, but when he's in scenes with them, you can see the difference in quality. These are seasoned, classically trained veterans with decades, 50 years of experience, and you can tell the difference in their acting ability. So it is a little bit jarring. He does, I think Weston does kind of work his way in eventually, kind of balancing out.
Yeah, it's tough because I mean they do it so effortlessly.
Yeah, I mean, these guys can do it in their sleep and
Mhm.
like no problem. But I love the cast. I really do. Fred Astaire, I've always loved his work. Of course, going back to his earlier films as a dancer, Melvin Douglas. John Houseman, by the way, remember The Fog?
Yes.
Remember in the beginning of The Fog where it opens up on a shot of a pocket watch and you hear the story being told?
Right.
It was a long time ago. That's
Yeah.
John Houseman. That's the same guy.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. And it was so fitting that they brought him in on this project to start telling the story because he has an amazing
He was
voice.
the one that was telling the story early on in the movie, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I did dig that. I did like that. It gave a really good feel to the movie. Like Liz said, it felt like one of those old timey, classic ghost stories.
Yeah, and that's what's beautiful about the film is that it is, yeah, it's a ghost story. It's like,
Mhm.
it's like the thunder, made the walls shake as the room lit up with lightning.
The
Pretty cool, huh?
houses and stuff that they filmed in, I loved. It
Oh,
really felt like someone's old house that you went to.
yeah. Well, they were old houses in the New England area and just beautiful. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, so
on
haunted.
that, on New England, everyone in that movie was driving like a maniac. If you live in New England, you know how to drive through snow. Everybody was like
Well,
fishtailing down the road. Like, what?
but
They're not from New England.
wouldn't you say that they were just panicking because they were being fucked with by a ghost?
No, because one of the police officers was going to a house. If you get there 5 minutes later, what is that gonna change? It's still gonna be like, a
Yeah,
random kid that escaped from a psych ward. He's not gonna
right.
change in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it looks more
The
dramatic.
way he's driving though, it's like
Oh.
he doesn't realize how bad he's driving. Wow.
Well, before we continue, let's give a general synopsis of what the film is about for the folks who have not seen this. And basically, the film starts as four old gentlemen, and they have this club called the Chowder Society, and they get together every so often at night on stormy nights. Drink brandy, smoke cigars, and tell ghost stories. And but they're all tied together with a deep, dark secret from their past, which is when they were younger, or four of them, they come across this beautiful young lady who moves into town and she captivates all four of their hearts. They all become buddies, they'll hang out and so forth. She falls in love with one of them, jealousy brews up with the other three. And one night they show up at her house unannounced, all fucked up and drunk, and they get into an argument. She tries to stop it, they push her aside, and she thunk hits the fireplace and dies. Oh, so they think. So they decide to like, oh fuck, what do we do? Resuscitate her? No, put her in the car and let's throw her in the lake. Nice, right? So they throw her in the car, and they drive it to the lake. They put the car in neutral and it goes into the lake. As it's sinking, they see that she's still alive. So basically, she drowns in the car and dies. So they decide to keep this a secret within themselves and meet every year and tell ghost stories. And to me, I think them telling ghost stories was their way of dealing with the horrific nature of their acts that they committed years earlier. So that's the gist of the film. Now, what I think is interesting, I don't know, how it delves into the power of secrets and how they can haunt individuals and men's past actions significantly, their involvement in the woman's death and how it comes back to haunt them in the form of a vengeful ghost. So, and that's represented, that's their guilt, that's the what's dragging them, holding them down. So they really never really lived a life per se of freedom. They always been chained down by this
You
guilt.
see, it starts off with them having nightmares.
Yeah, exactly. And they're also trying to find ways. It explores the idea of being haunted by the past and, trying to find a possibility of finding some sort of redemption or atonement for their past wrongs. And I think that's what they're trying to figure out, which is, I think, what Fred Astaire, who's the only one who survives at the end of the film, he realizes, I got to call the cops, tell them what happened 50 something years ago, tell them what the car is, and let's exhume her body and give her peace.
Mhm.
And that right there breaks the curse. And he's actually, he finds that atonement for his past actions.
My thing is, why does she wait so damn long to seek her revenge?
Well,
I mean, she
you know,
she waits until they're old, one foot already in the freaking grave to start fucking with them, and on top of that,
They don't.
she starts fucking with the with the guy's sons, and
well, she kills one of them.
they have nothing to do with this. It's like,
Well, I think it's kind of a curse-like kind of thing, and
No, I thought they said something in the movie about like she had enough power now or something, almost implying like the stories gave her power.
oh,
you know what? That's an interesting theory. I didn't catch that. That, and also I think that, they lived such full lives. It's kind of like they're almost at the finish line. And I guess that you can also say that she was waiting for them to, okay, you know what? We got away with it. We lived our lives with no consequence. And hello, surprise, at the very last minute.
yeah.
Ooga booga, exactly.
Good
Yeah.
book. I know, and she could have killed the other son too. I thought that was weird that she only killed one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well,
technically, he got scared and he fell out the window.
Well, the first son, yeah.
Yeah.
But the second one, I think she was just trying to marry him and then kill him. I don't know. And that plan didn't work out. So, but I mean, overall, I love the fact that it is a story about revenge, redemption. It's a classic ghost story. And that's what I think would appeal to me so much about this film is that it's an old-fashioned styled film. It's not horror. How did she say, Daisy? Ooga booga? No ooga boogas.
Ooga booga. I mean, you know what? I did like the story. I thought the story was pretty cool, but I just feel like like I said, the beginning was just kind of weird and just kind of like disconnected and discombobulated. It was just weird. I was very confused. And then another thing that I had a problem with when the second son first sees her and, she's a receptionist, she has this stupid look on her face.
Well, she's a ghost. What do
No,
you think?
man. We don't know this. We don't know. He doesn't know this. She has this stupid look on her face. I'm like, pendeja.
Daisy wants all the info.
I mean, seriously.
Well, I don't know. Maybe because she's like, oh, flesh and blood right
That
now.
bitch was
Ooh,
weird.
yeah, she was weird. I'll give you that. I mean, I do have to say, it's like it was a trip because when he first meets her, she's a bit odd. She's kind of an odd character, but then she kind of becomes normal. But then she starts talking all this weird shit. Right before they're gonna get married, and he's like, "Oh, fuck this! No, I'm done." And he dumps her. And but yeah, well, she got weird. But that should have been a red flag. I think. I don't know. But
And I cringed.
but overall,
I cringed at the foot touching the boobie.
yeah, I had an
does that?
idea you were going to mention that.
Who does that? Here, let me pinch your boobie with my toes.
It was supposed to be erotic. I don't know.
Jesus.
Do you know another cringe part in that movie when they were in class and I forget what he was saying. He was talking about something when do you remember when Dawn was the teacher,
Yeah.
like the liberal
Yes.
arts teacher or something? And then that kid in the class was saying something like, "Oh, can you continue on can you be more specific on the seduction part or something?" And it gave this weird ass look, and I was like, "Ew, you should be on a list, bro."
Yeah, that was a bit odd. I'm like, that's kind of cringy. I don't know what.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Was
yeah. So, all right. So let's get into the budget and the box office on this. Budget at the time was about $13.5 million, and that's about $46.8 million in today's dollars. Box office was about 23.5, and that's about $81.5 million in today's dollars. So it wasn't a huge box office success, but it wasn't a flop either. It just kind of hung in there. I mean, this came out 81, so you have Raiders of the Lost Ark, you have E.T., you have all these great films coming out, and with big visuals and special effects and grandiose storytelling. So a film like this really didn't have much of a chance at the box office, but I thought it was good. I mean, I saw it in 82 or 83, and I definitely liked it. So reviews and scores, it opened to mixed reviews. Roger Ebert, he gave the film a favorable review, praising the performances, and he considered it pretty much an improvement on Straub's novel, which is interesting because usually it's the other way around. IMDb is sitting at a 6.3, Rotten Tomatoes 28% critic score with an audience score of 46, and Letterboxd has this at 3.0 out of 5 stars. So yeah, kind of lukewarm overall. Yeah, so there was no sequels or remakes. I think I did read somewhere that they were considering doing a remake on this, but I'm not
Eh,
completely
I'm
sure
open
on
to
that.
that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd rather see a remake for Labyrinth, but that's
Oh
just me.
God, come on, dude. No,
Joe,
no.
Joe,
Yes,
Joe.
yes, yes. Labyrinth remake. Labyrinth 2026. That's what I'm calling for. Okay.
God, man.
Um
Cancel him.
okay. All righty, Daisy, let's get your rating on this.
Okay, so what are we rating it on? Brandy's?
Glasses of brandy, yes.
I'm gonna give it 4.5 glasses of brandy.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. Not your glass of
Not
brandy.
my glass of brandy at all.
All right. What about you, Liss?
I'd give it like a 7. It was fun. It felt like I said, like Christmas Story or like Edgar Allan Poe feeling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a
yeah.
good storyline. It wasn't fantastic, but I
Okay.
loved how it wasn't just like a gory, like a ghost story you see today. Everything's just gory. This had, like you described, like trauma incarnate. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
something you could see, but it wasn't like bloody. But don't get me wrong. I love a good bloody horror movie, but I enjoy a psychological one too. It's more spooky if it's done right.
Right, absolutely, and this definitely kind of like bordered on that, on the psychological. Yeah, cool, good score. To me, like I said, it's a good old fashioned ghost story. It's subtle. I like the fine pace. It's not about the horror, but it's about the story and the characters. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10 glasses of brandy.
Okay.
So,
All right.
So Daisy's the only one who is wrong.
Whatever, whatever.
So
no, I was just gonna say. So that makes me and Liss right, and you wrong about Labyrinth.
I mean, that just makes
It
sense.
does make sense, right?
No, it doesn't.
math.
Labyrinth is dog shit.
God,
Okay, so-
whatever.
But we should make a club like that. The Chowder Club sounds amazing.
It does. I mean, on a stormy night, telling ghost stories. So long as nobody has a skeletons literally in the closet, I think everything's fine.
Yeah.
Instead of brandy,
Yeah.
we can actually have actual chowder
Ooh,
with those cute little
I'm down.
crackers.
Oyster crackers up on there. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Now we're talking. All right, let's go on with our next film. So next up, nothing can stop them. No one can help you. They know who you are.
More than anything else, Cal Jameson wants to leave the horror of his old life behind. Now, in his new life, he's about to discover that the real horror is just beginning.
Don't you come any closer! You see what they did to the kid in there?
You said he found the body on an altar with a lot of religious paraphernalia, right?
A religion as old as time. One life from each of us, Cal. Versus an unimaginable force for evil.
This ritual's being performed now.
One life is all he has.
Nothing can stop them.
It's a power you can't imagine.
Want them to know who you are? Do you?
What have they done to you, Sean?
I can't move.
No one can help you.
They got my shield. Don't you get it?
You looked into his eyes, and you both felt the power of the man who killed them.
Jessica!
They know who you are.
Chris was chosen, Cal. When he found the shell, it was a sign. We want you to join us.
Cal Jameson, a police psychologist, is forced to deal with a series of ritualistic murders and a malevolent cult. The film is The Believers from 1987 and is directed by John Schlesinger. The film stars Martin Sheen, Helen Shaver, Harley Cross, and Jimmy Smits. So for this one, I had kind of a hard time finding a rating object. So we're going to go on a scale of 1 to 10 cursed objects.
Okay.
All right.
All right. All right. That's doable.
All right, cool. All righty. So, brief production backstory on this is based on the 1982 novel called The Religion by Nicholas Conde. It's shot mostly in Toronto with some exteriors in New York. It was shot from June 5th until September 28th of 1986. At one point, believe it or not, one of the studio executives suggested that they have the Beastie Boys perform on the soundtrack.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think he has a job anymore.
Moron. God.
Yeah, so the film was finally released on June 10th of 1987. So Daisy, you've seen this before? Your
I've
takes?
seen it many times. I really like this movie. It basically centers on on magic. What was it, brujeria, black magic,
And,
and
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 Santeria, yeah.
Santeria, which I really like, is they really the way that they showed it, it was pretty accurate. They had all the santos, Shango, Elegua, and I thought that was really cool, and it really does give it like a spooky feeling.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. The only thing is that I remember watching it early on, and at the time I really couldn't differentiate what kind of magic they were dealing with as opposed to the
Right.
Santeria, because they were both really very similar, with the drums and
You're
the
right.
African background. I
Hmm.
do feel that they should have kind of delved in deeper into what the bad guys were practicing.
Right. There was kind of a gray area there because there's Santeria that's going on and black magic
Exactly.
at the same
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was really cool. I really
All right.
liked it.
All right, Liz.
It was okay. I didn't hate it. It was like a cheesy drama. And I
Okay.
didn't know that those religious relics were actually correct, because a
Mhm.
lot of it felt like there was a lot of prejudice in the movie, like
Yeah.
against,
Oh yeah.
I mean, even when they were like the black kid and against the, oh, they're doing that, get that out of here. I don't want to
Oh
know
yeah.
about it,
There's
you
a
know?
huge
Mhm.
Like
stigma
I,
behind it.
but there
Yeah.
was a lot of storylines that went like nowhere. Like people would off themselves and then it would just stop. Like I didn't know what that was for. So I don't know if I missed a lot of it. Like a lot of it went over my head.
So
It was entertaining, but I'd never watch it
so
again.
basically,
Okay.
like
Okay.
what Jimmy Smits was
Mhm.
going through, basically they cast a spell on Jimmy Smits because he basically saw way too much. So they cast a spell on him, and that's why he had snakes in his stomach apparently, and he killed himself because of that.
Hmm.
Same thing with that other guy, that was he a chief or something, or
Oh, the
the
captain. Yeah,
captain.
yeah. Yeah,
It was more his. I didn't understand why he offed himself.
They
yeah, because what was going on, there was actually a conspiracy going on behind this, in that the rich were using this black magic to gain power and fame or money or what, and so forth. And so they were, part of the ritual is to sacrifice a child. And so police get involved, and Jimmy Smits was on the case, and he knew what was going on. He was getting closer, and this was tying into like a top individual in society of fame and power. So they were using black magic to shut these people up.
Mhm.
And it was very interesting. Like you said, Daisy, it's true. There was kind of a gray area, or like Liz, you say you're kind of confused
Mhm.
in that. Yeah, there was two types of things going on at the same time.
Mhm.
There's black magic and the Santeria. Santeria, for the most part, is not malevolent
Mm-mm.
in nature. Black magic, by nature, is
Yeah.
used sometimes for nefarious reasons. But there was a lot of accuracy. There's like that I was able to catch, being we're of Puerto Rican descent, and that's in our culture.
Mhm.
And there was a candle that she remember
The s-
the nanny, she puts
the seven powers.
las siete
Yeah.
potencias, and those are the seven powers, which are in African religion. Those are like the seven. They pretty much, they're African gods, and they disguise them as saints
Mhm.
in Catholicism, so they can get away with practicing this religion.
Mhm.
And there was Eshu, Elegua, Ogun, Obatala, Yamaya, Oshun, Shango, and Oya.
Mhm.
And those are the seven
You know
powers,
what?
and they hide them
To
within.
be honest,
Por
but you
supuesto.
you know what though? You know what I looked up, Tito? Joe. I'm sorry. I'm
What?
sorry, Joe. Was that the seven powers are not connected to the African deities. I
Mhm.
think it's
No.
separate.
Yeah, no, they're each separate deities. I mean, yeah, it's a polytheistic religion.
Yeah.
And
Did you know that Babalu
and
Aye was one of them?
really, I did not know
Yes.
this.
So when you see Ricky Ricardo singing Babalu,
On the
he's singing to one of the African gods.
oh shit, I never realized
Yep.
that. Wow, that throws a dark spin on I Love Lucy.
Mind blown.
Wow. Um, but for the most part, I mean, I saw. I mean, I really enjoyed the
Oh
film.
yeah.
I thought it was very entertaining. It does kind of throw a negative light on Santeria
Mhm.
as an alternative religion, but some of the stuff was obviously exaggerated. Like there's a part where Martin Sheen's girlfriend, she's cursed with like spiders coming out of her face.
That
That's kind of
that was gross. When that
yeah, that
And
was
why
really
didn't she go to the hospital right away? She's like sitting around the house.
dude, she's like dragging her ass all over the place, holding on to her freaking
Like,
face.
call
I'm like,
freaking
dude,
911. Go to the hospital. You have a staph infection,
seriously.
MRSA on your face. Something. Go get it
My
treated.
God. And then when that thing busted and you see all the goo on her hand, I'm like,
that was cool. Well, that was neat. I mean, a lot of the spells are predominantly, they're energies from what I've heard, and I've talked to people. It's all based on negative energies or positive energies that affect the physical body. So a lot of curses are usually where illnesses, come about, malformation and so forth, and it's using the body's, it uses the body against the cursed person.
or not.
To
Another way to cast a spell is by taking a personal object and using the
Right.
energy behind that personal object to target that person. Like Jimmy Smith's, they took his shield. And
Right, exactly.
yeah.
I tried to
Yeah,
pause that like
so
3 times. Was his shield 6 and then a repetition of that number, or was it just 2 and then another number? Because I couldn't see.
Well, I know NYPD shields are 4 digits, right? I believe. So I'm not sure. I didn't
Okay.
catch that.
No, if we're talking about NYPD, at the beginning of that movie, that was driving me insane. Every single officer had his garrison belt and then he had his duty belt, and they were none of them had keepers. The thing was like hanging off down his hip. If he ever went to pull his weapon, his belt would have gone flying. Those
Okay.
belts were like
Now,
3 sizes too big or like off to the side. I'm like, what are you doing? You have nobody on set to be like, no.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm very familiar with what you're talking about. Keepers are like these little mini straps that go under your regular belt, on your pants, and they hold your duty belt or your Sam Brown in place. So it doesn't rise up. And yeah, I've seen that so many times in movies where they don't have these belt keepers on, and it's like that should be rising up to your belly button if you don't, in real life. So yeah, that was kind of annoying. And also when Robert Loggia, the captain, he's on the scene. Where some kid got murdered and he has his shield hanging out of his pocket. These shields are pretty heavy. His shield was kind of like not even flat on his chest. It was kind of like up a little bit, like it weighed like a couple of ounces. So it was a prop bag. Did you catch that? Yeah. So, and then the trouncing about the crime scene, like there's no tomorrow.
Yes, when he picked up that picture, the bloody picture, which is evidence he has no gloves on. He just messed up the crime scene.
Yeah, he can just stick his finger in it and lick it and see what it is. Why not?
Oh, it tastes like O positive. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, that always really gets to me when I see that stuff like that. I mean, but one thing, the egg ritual, where
El huevo.
now and basically they pass the egg over and they chant and so forth. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not going to go into details, but they just say that shit is real. That thing, if there is a malevolent a spirit or negative energy inside a person, and in this ritual, the egg comes out with blood
or foamy.
Yeah, it's real. It's real shit.
Or what?
If it comes out, there's different ways to read the egg. When you pass it over somebody,
Right.
you crack it, and usually it's foamy, or maybe you see, something in there. But that shit came out red in the movie.
Foam. I thought you were saying like foamy.
Oh,
And
no,
I'm
no,
like,
no.
I don't understand that word.
No, foam.
Okay. Ignore me.
But that shit came out bloody red, so that was not good.
Yeah, but again, there's a lot of accuracies in it, but it is a Hollywood film, so you're going to get a lot of exaggeration, of course. But the exploration overall of fanaticism in any religion that it can misguide people and make people do extreme things in the name of their faith. I mean, I am a firm believer of powers that we cannot explain, that we can possess, but you have to be at a certain mindset and a certain spiritual disposition. But think about it: human nature. You grasp a hold of a certain kind of power, you can do so. You're going to use it for bad, and and in the name of faith and so forth. For power and self empowerment.
It's all a point of view, really.
Yeah, I mean, fire is good, right? Keeps us warm.
It's life.
Fire is bad. It can kill you because it can burn you to a crisp. Water, the same thing. it really does delve into some interesting sub themes in there regarding fanaticism in faith, and again that goes across the board in any faith, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, and so forth and so forth. You go to that extreme deep end, and it's not a good thing. I mean, but yeah, so it really does make you think. I mean, that's what I it was very subtle. It was there. It wasn't beating you over the head with it, but yeah, it was interesting. Now the ending I didn't like.
I could tell you why I didn't like it. Okay, first off, he goes through all this shit. He knows that there's Santeria, that he knows that there's black magic. He knows that they're two different things. He even went to a Santero to have a protection ritual done for him. He's seen what it is. Why the fuck you gonna be surprised when you go up into the what is that, like a hayloft or something, and you see that shrine that she has. She's like, I did it to protect us, and he gives her like the meanest fucking side eye, like, bitch, what the fuck? And it's like,
but you know what?
She did it to protect them. I mean, shit, She has true. She had spiders coming out of her fucking face. I think she deserves to do a protection spell. You know what else stood out to me though is that she was dressed all in white.
Okay.
And to get into that religion, I know you have to dress up in white for like a whole year.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? They kind of framed her as a cuckoo nut though. And that's where I think it was, and that's where, because there was a lot of people in the Santeria community, especially back east, and that felt that this was a negative portrayal, and it kind of cast a dark image on the religion. And that and that ending kind of does that, because it's not like she comes across cuckoo. She's like, oh, I'm cuckoo, look, I'm a fanatic now, and I'm killing goats and I'm lighting candles, and I do see the problem in that. So it's like, I'm not going to say that it treated Santeria with disrespect, but it kind of didn't take it seriously enough, in the sense that, respect in the sense of, we don't know what we're talking about here, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
See, I thought it was that she either had practiced it already, like already had knowledge of it, or that maybe she just learned it all. I thought that was the twist. But again, a lot of this movie went over my head, because even though you explained about the captain, I still don't get why he killed himself instead of trying to kill the guy himself.
Well, because they paralyzed him. Yeah.
He could do it to himself, so why not call the guy? He could use the phone.
Yeah.
If he can move a gun.
Massive loophole.
Be like, put the phone in front of me, call this guy, tell him to come here. We gotta talk.
Oh gosh. Now a little side note here. I met Martin Sheen at the screening. It was at the Academy of Motion Pictures Art and Sciences out in Beverly Hills back in '87.
Did you fangirl?
And I fangirled. I really
did. I know you did.
I'm like, this dude, it's Martin Sheen, man. Because we went to the screening, and it was really cool. I enjoyed the film, and they gave us souvenir programs and so forth. So my buddy and I, we hit the lobby, and we're mingling there with like some of the stars. There was some like film critics there as well, and a lot of the cast. And my buddy, he elbows me, and he's like, dude, look. And we look across, and there's Martin Sheen. I'm like, oh shit. And I'm thinking, well, maybe he can autograph, my souvenir program. I'm like, yeah, let's give it a shot. Walk up there, and he couldn't have been the nicest man I'd ever met. He was so sweet. Yeah, he was really nice. He actually chatted with us for like 20 minutes, and we were talking, and he asked, first thing he asked me was, what you think of the film? And I told him, well, it's very interesting. Being Puerto Rican, I know I'm very familiar more or less with Santeria. And he goes, oh, really? You Puerto Rican? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, I'm Cuban. You know that, right? I'm like, yeah, because his real name is Ramon Estevez. Ramon Antonio Geraldo Estevez.
Damn.
And so he's of Cuban descent himself. And we had a really nice discussion and talking until his assistant, he's like, oh, we got to go, Mr. Sheen. But it was very neat. It was very cool. Very nice man.
Was that actor Malik Bowens, was he there?
He was there. I saw him across
the
other,
Was he creepy?
Yeah, he's a creepy motherfucker. I'm like, we saw him, but like, yeah, we'll do without his autograph.
Oh my God.
Thank you very much.
He really legit freaked me out in this movie. That dance that he does
Yeah.
when the drums are playing, oof,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Very unnerving, very
gave
creepy.
me the
Um,
willies.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, overall, I mean, like I said, not the greatest portrayal of, I mean, it's a horror film, so they gotta give it that angle, I guess. So yeah, let's get into the budget and the box office on this one. Budget at the time was about 13 million, which is about 36.1 in today's dollars. Box office was about 18.8 million, which is about 52.2. So borderline flop. It didn't do well at all. Didn't lose that much money, but it made its money on home rental after that. But so reviews and scores, it mostly opened to negative reviews.
Wow.
Yeah, our buddy Roger Ebert, he gave the film a half a star out of 4, and he denounced the film as an awesomely silly, tasteless, and half-witted movie.
Jesus. Okay, it wasn't the best movie, but Jesus Christ. I mean, that bad?
I think, yeah, I take it he didn't care much for it.
Wow.
IMDb is it's sitting at a 6.1 on IMDb, Metacritic 40, Rotten Tomatoes critic score about 35% with an audience score of 45, and Letterboxd has this at 3 stars out of 5. Sequels, spin-offs, remakes. So yeah, I mean, not very well received. I mean, I personally, I mean, watching it because of our culture in Afro-Cuban culture and so forth, it was very interesting, and we're not really represented quite often in film, so that was kind of interesting, especially at that time.
Mhm, very true.
So yeah, so let's give our ratings. Daisy.
All right, so I am gonna give it 7.5. What is it? Haunted relics,
Cursed
relics,
Cursed objects.
cursed
maybe.
objects. For its, I think it had a very accurate portrayal of Santeria, which I thought was really cool. And that dude, what was his name again? Malik. He was creepy as
Yeah.
fuck. Scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, 7.5.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. Liss.
I'd give it 6. I just forgot what you just said. Cursed objects?
Cursed objects, yeah.
Yeah, because that milk scene is like the most disgusting thing. It wasn't even the part when she died, the fact when she was cleaning up milk and she stepped in it.
Yeah.
That grossed me out more than her dying. But it got up to 6 because of the amateur magician lawyer, because he was great.
Oh, Richard Mauser. I love Richard Mauser. I think he was great
Character
in
was
that.
so funny.
He was cool.
Yeah, he was cool. Yeah. Yeah, he's one of those character actors that just popped up in a lot of films in the 80s, and he was always just a lot of fun to watch. So for me, it's generally creepy. It's a supernatural kind of crime movie, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Not the best, but not bad at all. I mean, I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10 cursed objects.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think we're all around the same area. 7, between 6 and 7 is about right. So
Not too shabby.
not too chubby, man. All right. So I mean, now to me, what do you guys find more when it comes to these paranormal kind of films? Is it ghost type stories, or is it films about the occult? What scares you more?
You know what? I want to say I want to go more towards like spiritual kind of movies, simply because I
Mhm.
was raised in a world where that shit real. So
Right.
yeah, so when I see like like one of the Conjuring movies, it legit freaks me out.
Yeah, it's sort of like ghost types. Yeah, I mean, for me, occult movies, anything with the occult. I mean, whether you believe in that stuff or not, the evil that comes out of it,
Mhm.
and the things they do, it's really terrifying, and that's very real in our world.
Right.
Bottom line fanaticism. And so that to me kind of spooks me more. What about you, Liz?
The movies that I'm too scared to watch are like anything that has to do with the church. Anything that
Mm.
has like nuns or priests or things like that is too close to that, and it feels like blasphemy watching it, and I get nervous because of that.
He's like, you're gonna get hit by lightning just for watching the movie.
I don't know. I like The Nun. I can't watch it. It's not scary to me, but I don't know. It's just something about religion and horror.
Yeah.
There's a point where it's like, no, thank you. I'll step away.
Oh, so like The Omen, right? That's one that I'm sure
The
you're a
Exorcist.
fan
Never
of, right?
seen. The
No.
Exorcist I've
Oh, well,
seen, weirdly, because it was only that one
oh,
part.
well, I got news for you, Liz. in a couple months, we're
Cursed?
going to be doing
Who?
we're going to be doing The Omen. So get ready for that.
What
No, I
happened?
said I'm not too far from Daisy. I can go to her and have her like bless me or something.
There you go. I'll
There you go.
sage you.
Kind of
Get the Palo Santo
cleansing
going.
spell.
That's right. That's right.
Alrighty, so let's start winding this one down. So next week we're gonna uncover the genre of the week, and with that, we're gonna be covering action adventure films, and we're gonna be covering The Hunt for Red October and The Goonies. So that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, high sea stakes and treasure. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, so everyone tune in next week for that one. That's going to be a blast. Folks, thank you so much for listening, and we really hope you enjoyed the show. Please help to support the podcast by give us a nice 5-star rating, leave us a good review, or another way you can help to support us is simply to follow us on Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Audible, Boomplay, or wherever you get your podcast fix. Don't forget, you can also catch Liss on her podcast, Ouch, Was That a Ghost? And you can catch that on Patreon, Spotify, Amazon, and most platforms where you get your creepy and weird podcast fix. And don't forget to check out our Instagram page. We're on TikTok, YouTube, and we have all of our regular episodes dropped there as well, so you can check them out there. We're also on Blue Sky, which is a new social media platform. Check us out there. And you can also contact us directly by email to thefilmjoepod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. All this information, they're on our show notes below. We have our link tree below. Click on it, check it out. And yeah, give us a visit. Give us a shout out. Tell us what you think of the show. We'd love to hear. Right,
That's
guys?
right.
Okay. right. Alrighty. So with that being said, I'm Joe.
Daisy.
I'm Liss,
And this is the Film Joe Podcast.
where film talk happens.